Yeah, it was good to get a few days off and to recuperate, give our kids a chance to get caught up on academics and really concentrate on ourselves. And really looking forward to playing a really good football team in Georgia State, and it's going to be on national TV, a way to showcase our program.
Again, to members of the media, if you have a question, please just jump in and go into reactions and use your hand icon as well to let us know. We'll start with Mike. Mike, please go ahead.
Thanks very much, Coach. Odd week. Obviously, you mentioned you had the weekend off, but now you have 2 days to get ready to host Georgia State Wednesday night. How are you guys health-wise coming into Wednesday after having a little bit of extended time off?
We're getting better health-wise. We have a couple of guys be game time decisions to see how they finish out the next 2 days of practice. But we need the break. We're a banged-up football team as far as injuries-wise, and hopefully we get those guys back. But again, that's all in the doctor's hands, so we'll find out Wednesday at 7:30.
And from a mental aspect, the extra time off to kind of maybe mentally refresh these guys, how vital is that for you?
It was good to get a few days off. It was a very unusual month of September, and we played some really good football teams. This conference is really good, and we know that. But to give our chance, guys, to kind of reset the button and get focused on Appalachian State, and really that's all we focused on throughout the week. Early on was us, and then we moved forward to Georgia State on Friday.
Thanks. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Let's go over to Alvaro Torres. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Clark. Thank you for your time. Well, there were 12 penalties against your team in the Texas State game. Has solving that been your main focus during this bye week?
Yeah, 12 penalties are unacceptable, and that's part of the focus on us was discipline, details, and fundamentals, and we're not good enough to make those kind of mistakes and make those penalties. And a lot of those were selfish penalties. To me, it's different when you have personal fouls compared to a holding or a pass interference. That's totally different. That's playing football. But to have selfish penalties as far as personal fouls, that's unacceptable. That's not who we are, and we had to get that fixed as soon as we could.
Thank you. We'll go to Chuck Landon. Chuck, if you want to take yourself off mute, yeah. Hey, Chuck, we still can't hear you. Might need to check your mic there.
Hey, Chuck, if you want to type your question into the chat, we can ask it for you.
And while I wait for that, we'll jump over to Shawn.
Coach, you referenced it, but first year of the 14 team Sun Belt, and you look at the results and anybody's beating anybody. Can you just speak to the strength of the Sun Belt you've seen in this first year of the 14 team league?
No, without question. I've said this all along. This is the premier group of five conference in the country. And week in and week out, it's going to be very tough to win. And if you don't play error-free football, then you're probably going to get beat. And that speaks volumes for the coaches in this conference, the players in this conference. And there's no more going to be undefeated teams in the Sun Belt. It's going to be week in and week out. It's going to be really good football games, and the team who's most prepared, who comes ready to play, is going to win the football game.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity again here. Obviously, we got our tail kicked Saturday. Old Dominion wanted the game more, played better than we did, and we're just flat out better. And a lot of credit goes to them. They really did a good job. I thought they just dominated us really in all three phases, and we weren't really ready to go, which is on me as the head coach. So good for us to have an opportunity, an open date here. There's some things we obviously need to improve in some things. Hopefully get some guys that we've been missing, back, some starters back that have been out the last, some for the whole season, some last 3 weeks. So it's coming in a good time for us. There's things we need to clean up and give us an opportunity to just really work on some, on ourselves a little bit.
All right, thank you. We'll go over to Alvaro Torres with End Zoners. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Chadwell. Thank you for your time. I hope you're having a great day. Well, Old Dominion managed to dominate both lines of scrimmage. What would you say that is due to?
Well, one, I think they had a great plan, when they came and, smacked us in the face, to be honest with you. And I think they really wanted the game more than we did, which was, I think, what I'm more disappointing in. Obviously they had some good schemes, but it wasn't anything that we weren't prepared for. I think they executed and they wanted it more. And when you're in this league, and I think what it's showing is nobody's that much better than everybody else. I mean, this league is very tough. If you don't come ready to go, you're going to get embarrassed, and we did. So that's the thing that we have to improve this week, is us getting our mindset back to where we have a chip on our shoulder and we're not just, Coastal Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. Next questions come from Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, another game where Jared Brown had another long touchdown grab. Can you speak to his impact on your team?
Well, he's been great for us. Obviously, we lost a lot of production, as everybody knows, and he's a guy that we've been high on as a redshirt freshman. And each and every week he's gotten better and better. Our challenge for us is we got to just try to get him the ball more. People are doubling him and doing a lot of things against him now, and we need to do a better job of getting him the ball. But when he gets it, big plays can happen. And I think since we started Sunbelt play, that's been noticeable. He's had some huge plays for us, and 4 straight games there now in the Sunbelt where he's had a 50 or 50 plus yard touchdown. And so we got to continue to find ways to get him the ball, because when we do, good things happen.
Go to Luke Creasy, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, after the game, there was a player that made a comment about, you talked to the mental focus maybe being a little bit off. And, the player had said maybe they were thinking ahead of Old Dominion and they wish they would focus more. Do you think that had an impact on the outcome of the game?
Well, I don't think we were as focused as we need to be, but they just beat us. So I'm not taking credit away from them. They beat us, and so the credit goes where they need it. They took it to us. But I think what our player was referencing, I think there's certain players, whether because they're young or whatever, they think that, hey, we've won these games and people are just going to come in and go, oh, it's Coastal, we can't beat them, and not play hard, where it's the complete opposite. And we place value, on certain, we'll be ready for this game. We don't have to worry about this one. And I think that's what he's speaking at a little bit. And I think we had a little bit of that. And but it wouldn't have mattered if we'd have played great the way they played. They came and took it to us. And so we'll learn from it. But and hopefully going forward, we won't have that looking, if we were looking ahead, anymore.
Thank you. We'll go to Sam.
Hey, Coach, you've been a little bit banged up this early part of the year, especially in the running back room, a couple other positions as well. Does this bye week come at a good time for you? And do you think there's anybody that you might be able to get back having a week off here?
Well, it's a great time for it. We are, our quarterback's been playing with a bum ankle the last 3 weeks. That he needs some time away. Running back wise, we did get Reese White back, but he needs some more time to get healthy. Shane Bruce, the starting linebacker, hadn't played in 3 weeks. And so we're going to hopefully get quite a few players back. I say quite a few, a good amount that we're counting on back. There's still some that, we're waiting to see. They've got rehab going on, and whether they be back after the bye week, we don't know that. But I do think we'll get, a couple of impact starters back, hopefully, that will really help us or get some guys back healthy that we need to have, because it's, the 7 games we played have been tough and physical, and it's not like any of them, for us in the wins, none of them have been easy wins for us. And so, in the loss, obviously our guys had, tried to play the whole game there, except for the last drive, just to try to hang in there. So we need some time to get away and mentally and physically recover.
Tough game Saturday. Give Georgia Southern credit. They took advantage of their opportunities. We probably had more opportunities, but left a lot of them out on the field. Credit to our guys coming back in the fourth quarter, down 10 with 7 minutes to go, taking the lead, putting ourselves in position to win the game. But at the end of the day, when you have a punt blocked on the road for a touchdown and turn it over 4 times, your chances of winning aren't very good. And that was the case Saturday. We almost overcame it. We were in position to dominate the game early. We had a 14-0 lead after the first play of the second quarter. Had outgained them about 230-20. They came back with a 75-yard drive, gave them some momentum. Then we got the punt blocked, and then the crowd, was really into it and they had momentum. We went in with the lead, punched it in first drive, second half, back up 10, stadium's quiet. We're in a great position, but they hit a 75-yard pass the first game, then went on to score 24 straight points. Our offense didn't respond to their scores. But like I said before, we came back, took the lead, had it down to 4th and 10, make one play, you walk out with the win. But focused in on Marshall right now, a veteran football team, extremely talented football team, obviously beat Notre Dame. 19 starting seniors or juniors on that team. This will be the best defense that we have faced this year. Very athletic, can run. Their front is extremely active, play a lot of guys, good players. Linebackers are really good. Secondary guys can cover. They don't give up many points. On offense, quarterback's completing 73% of his passes. The running back is the leading rusher in the conference, 142 yards a game. He's a great player. The line's huge. I mean, they're huge. And the receivers can really go. So they're extremely talented veteran football team, a really good football team. We're looking forward to the challenge. Looking forward to getting back home for homecoming. We've been on the road here 3 of the last 4 games. Been a while since we've been at home. And ought to be a great atmosphere. It's supposed to be a nice day too.
All right, thank you, Coach. Got a lot of questions to go through here. We'll probably try to be as efficient as possible. We'll start with Noah.
Hey, Coach, you guys are halfway through your season. What have you learned about this team you may have not known 6 games ago?
Well, I think this team has a lot of heart and a lot of fight in it. And, we've passed every test until Saturday and overcame adversity. Some games we've dominated and played well. And, we're still learning. We're still growing as a football team. We've had a couple injuries. Some guys have to step into new roles that have played well. And, we'll learn more about our team this week.
We'll head over to Paul. Okay, I think Paul went away. We'll go over to Grant.
Hey, Coach. With a loss like this, how do you kind of balance with the guys like flushing it and trying to look ahead to Marshall, but then also kind of talking about how there were mistakes you made against Georgia Southern that we have to look back on to kind of clean up? How do you balance those things?
Well, I think you do the critique on the last game and then you file it. The schemes that we're going to see from Marshall are a lot different than the schemes we saw last week. So you put it in the file. We're 5-1 right now. We have a lot to play for, a big homecoming crowd. Our guys will be excited. I'm sure, disappointed in the result from Saturday, but the 24-hour rule, we're now, the 48 hours since the game. So it's all eyes on Marshall, focus on Marshall. And, we've got to do a great job of prepping. And there should be 0 distractions this week in our preparation for Marshall.
We'll go to Alvaro Torres with End Zoners.
Hi, Coach Cignetti. I hope you're having a great day. Well, you outgained your opponent by 200 rushing yards and still lost. What is the main thing you're worried about after that game? Well,
it was a very unusual game in some respects. We had 19 explosive plays on offense. We were 50% on third down. We kept penalties to 1 and 30, which is our goal. We had 680 yards of total offense. But, the opponent took advantage of their opportunities and the crowd got in the game and they played very well. So I just think our play in general was sloppy in all 3 phases. And we've got to clean up our execution. And every guy has to do his job and be accountable to his teammates to do his job. And we got to be a little more detailed in our preparation and a little bit more focused on our execution and on the field and just play better.
Thank you, Coach.
You will go to Wayne.
Coach, good morning. From a defensive perspective, you talked about Saturday. You guys were in position to make plays, in the pass game in the secondary, but just not, and also maybe a little bit of a speed deficit. So how do you kind of maybe correct those things in practice this week? Things that were to this point mostly uncharacteristic.
Yeah, well, our defense gave up 7 points in the first half and responded to a sudden change also in that first half. The other 7 points came on the block punt. So, in the second half, I thought we appeared at times to be a little tired because we weren't running quite as fast. Georgia's Southern scheme can put you in conflict. And I think it's a good off-season study defensively, honestly, in terms of some things we could do better to give ourselves a better chance. And there's probably some things we had in the game plan that we should have pulled out that would have helped us. But at the end of the day, you got to win the one-on-one battles and you got to cover and make plays. So I give them a lot of credit. Their quarterback was on, their receivers caught the ball extremely well. And, we came up short. So I'm confident that we're going to bounce back defensively. We played really good defense all year long. I know our guys' pride are hurt a little bit from Saturday, but, I'm anticipating a great day today, a great week of preparation. We'll be out there flying around on Saturday.
If I may follow up, how much do you put what they did in the past game on the secondary versus, you guys up front not getting enough pressure to kind of put them under pressure?
I put it on the team. I mean, what the offense did or didn't do affects the defense, and the offense, they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. After Georgia Southern scored their first score in the third quarter to make it a 3-point game. I mean, we had about 4 series there. Well, we didn't score. We didn't do very well. So, every unit lifts the other unit, and our defense will be fine.
Looking back at Saturday, what a tough game. Have a lot of respect for what Coach Sumrall is doing there at Troy. We knew that it was going to be a tough road battle for us going into a pretty good environment and versus a very quality team. We knew that the game was going to come down to efficiency and execution. We kind of changed our approach a little bit in terms of just kind of a clock management and just kind of get the ball in play. And I thought we did a really good job for 3 quarters. And, we're up 14-10 going into the fourth quarter. And like really, we just we thought it was going to be more of like an NFL style game of flipping field position and just trying to get to the fourth quarter to give us a chance to win it. And we had a chance to get in to win that game at the end. And and unfortunately it didn't bounce our way, but just a lot of positives that came out of that game in terms of that we're starting to have a mindset that we believe that we can compete with anybody. And they're devastated in the locker room, but it was unfortunate. It was a close battle, but they believe that they can compete with anybody in this league, and they know that we got a lot of work to do, and we got to keep playing efficient, keep playing smart football, and eventually the ball is going to keep bouncing our way. But we got a great opportunity again this week, going 8 straight weeks, and then we got a bye week, and I'm telling you that bye week's going to come at a good time for us. And we got a great opportunity with Southern Miss coming into town. They had a great win versus Arkansas State over the weekend, and it's our homecoming game. So hopefully we have a great crowd like the turnout versus App State, and hopefully we can get back on track, and hopefully we can get a win going into the bye week, which will make things a lot better. So questions.
Hey, Coach, we'll start off with Hunter. Hunter, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, looking at your schedule and how you've kind of been ahead of some games, like for instance, App State, but then you've been behind in some other games. Where is the median level for y'all, or where's the focus? Is it just going to be at home games, or are you trying to maintain it through the whole season?
Yeah, no, like you talk about just how the game, like this season's flowed. We've struggled on the road, and we took a lot of different approaches going into this Troy game on trying to be as efficient as possible and try to minimize mistakes and penalties and take care of the football. And our whole approach was to get to the fourth quarter because we've been struggling. Nevada, we struggled, Baylor, we struggled, and James Madison, and then we thought that just kind of filling out the kind of the elements of the game and how it was flowing. We knew that Troy is a very good team, and when we had to execute and be efficient, and so we changed that up this week. But we've been playing well in the at home. We're 3-0 at home. We're 0-4 on the road, and that's something that we've got to fix. And I'm telling you, I've been searching like crazy for just answers on why we're a little bit slower on the road compared to when we're at home. And it's a constant battle to look at the beginning of the year. It was also that we were having a very sluggish third quarter. We were very playing not complimentary football in that third quarter. And we're starting to kind of change that a little bit as the season's going on. But, there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's a lot of kind of look yourself in the mirror and kind of see where you're at and see what we can change to maybe give us a chance moving forward. But, we're at a point with our program where we're really one day at a time. We don't even look towards the game. It's more about what we can control right now and how we can fix it and understand that failure is a part of like your growth and development. And, we got a lot of lessons that need to be learned from this past game versus Troy. And hopefully we can keep just trying to fix our mistakes and where we can keep playing more efficient football as we go throughout the course of these next 5 weeks, these really next 6 weeks, these next 5 games.
And Coach, we'll go to Shawn.
Coach, your home crowds this season have been great. You have homecoming coming up this weekend. Can you speak to the excitement surrounding your program on campus and in the community?
Yeah, I think, we came a long ways. We've been building this program for the last few years, and I think we finally have got a product where our fan base enjoys watching and are proud of how they compete and how they fight on a weekly basis. And just to come out after a tough James Madison loss and come out to an App State game with 25,000 people, and it was a pretty packed crowd and a loud environment. It was the first time I've heard the crowd actually kind of dictate situational football on the opponent, and it just kind of shows you that where there's a lot of excitement around here. There's a lot of people that are proud of this university, and our kids come motivated to play during home games because they see the passion, they see the excitement, and they want to do something special for this community. And it speaks a lot to our administration, our president on the efforts that they're doing to get people in the stands. And I'm proud of our guys on how we play at home, and we need to do have another great weekend with a great crowd on homecoming and versus a quality opponent, which would be a very big win for us. And, being 4-4 would be one of the kind of better records that we've had at this university in a long time.
And if you could, just your assessment of Southern Miss and what you've seen from them and what they do well.
I think Coach Hall does a great job. I've known him for a long time. I think they're very well coached, and a sign of a great coach is that over the years, you go back to 2 years ago and even last year on when injuries occur. He's an air raid principle guy. Like, he likes to throw it around. Me and him are kind of from the same tree, and that's why we have a pretty good relationship. But he adapts as a coach. Like, he went through some quarterback injuries. And he can get into the Wildcat game and be efficient there. And they've got great talent on all phases of the game. They're very explosive. Their team speed is phenomenal. It's going to be a tough challenge for our defense to contain all that speed. I think from their defense, it's just talking about them. I think they're one of the better defenses out there. I think they're playing at a high level. You just watch how multiple they are, and just the disruption that they do. It's going to be a tough challenge for us. We got to contain their athleticism and their speed, and we got to make sure that we're very sound in what we do offensively, because they can hit you for negative plays. And when you talk about them on a special team standpoint, you look at their team speed. Their returners are explosive. They can hit the home run play, at any moment. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. But it's going to be at home, homecoming game in beautiful weather, and we're excited for this opportunity, because how the Sun Belt is. Every single week is going to be a new challenge, a different style of play, and we're going to have to manage our way through the game.
Yeah, really proud of our football team getting a really quality win against a great opponent in James Madison, extremely well-coached team. And it was a special night for our kids and our community, our university, to be able to honor our 40-year team, as well as Coach Russell's family. as well as the Dirty Dozen, and not only to, honor history, but make some history too. The second time in the history of Paulson Stadium to defeat a top 25 team. Really proud of this team after two really heartbreaking losses on the road and losing games in the last 5 minutes. We found a way to win a game against a top 25 team. And that's the mark of a team that continues to grow and gets better and trusts each other. And hopefully we continue down that path. We got another big challenge this week versus a really good Old Dominion team that has their own confidence going right now after their win versus Coastal and really put a very balanced offense out there last week with a great rushing game as well as a balance of passing game that was very effective against Coastal. So we've got another challenge, another road game, and looking forward to the opportunity to compete again. With that, I'll take any questions that you got.
I appreciate that, Coach. We'll start with Grant Johnson. Grant, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, what did you kind of see, in film prep going into the Jamey game to be able to exploit their pass defense to the tune of 600 yards from Kyle Ventries?
We went in the game. We always go in the game trying to be balanced, but we wanted to really feel out. You're talking about the number one rush team in the country that was giving up at just a little over 40 yards a game. But you want to be able to see it live. I thought Coach Ellis and the offensive staff did a really nice job of being able to have kind of both scripts, and we really wanted to kind of feel it out the first quarter and then be able to adapt. And after that first quarter, it was evident, okay, this is going to be a harder day to run the ball. They continued to bring their zone pressures that they had shown in the past, and that means we've always said that. Whatever defense decides they're going to do, we're going to try to take the other. And some days you're going to have to throw the ball 64 times if you continue to get one high coverage and you continue to get, zone pressures. It's on the quarterback and the wide outs and the perimeter players to get it done. And so that's what we felt, basically going into that second quarter was 14-7. Okay, we need to really change pace here and try to get the ball out on the perimeter and push the ball vertically against their zones. And credit to Kyle and the receivers and the running backs. Jalen White made some big plays too out there with 6 catches. It was one of those games where we needed to throw the ball and take advantage of what the defense was giving us and not be stubborn and forcing the ball versus in the run game versus numbers. And they made it very effective, especially in the second half.
And I guess a quick follow to that. Now that you talked about feeling out JMU, what does make it so hard to run on JMU?
I think one scheme wise, they're always adding an extra number to the box. And, we have faced some teams. So we've faced every different type of structure. We've faced teams that drop 8, drop 9 mid. And then, we've faced teams like JMU that, do what they do. And they brought their normal package to the park, which is a zone pressure package, always adding, they're committed to stopping the run. And we didn't know if that would be the case with, what we've done in the past game, but they decided to do that, and we needed to adapt. And that's part of being a good play caller and a good offensive coach is to be able to adapt within game. You put a game plan together, you have answers for what they're going to do. They showed what they were going to do, and Coach Ellis and offensive staff and the guys in the box, Dick said, you know what, Coach, we need to get it out on the perimeter, need to throw it. This is what they're doing. All right, let's go. And we trust our players to make those plays, and they did.
Thank you. We'll go to Alvaro Torres with End Zoners. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Helton. I hope you're having a great day. Well, have you ever won a game in which you rush for only 12 yards? And how did you manage to maintain such an effective passing game, despite it being obvious that you were going to pass most of the time?
Yeah, if you would have told me before the game that you could have 590 yards and 45 points versus the number 2 defense in the country, I don't care how it comes. I don't care if we're walking backwards and scoring. It doesn't matter. That was a really, really good defense, and we were trying to find a way to win a game probably against a team that was playing the best football in our conference. And, we've always said that we will take what the defense gives us. And in that game, we were challenged. They challenged us to see how good the quarterback was and how good our passing game was. And we accepted that challenge and trusted our kids to make plays. And they did. And so some days, you've seen our team. Some days we have over 200 yards rushing because we're seeing more drop 8 coverages. On this day, they were trying to get to the quarterback, and we chose to take what they gave us. And so credit to the quarterback and credit to the offensive line. 64 passes without a sack, and credit to a bunch of skill players that made their plays out in open space.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, had a tough loss to South Al. A second time we've lost by 7. Put ourselves in a chance to win the ball game and couldn't get it done. They ran we put the ball back to them with 5 minutes left on about the 12-yard line, and they ran the clock out and did what they had to do to win. Basically a game of just not doing enough of the little things. We were winning at half, had a bad overall third quarter. I mean, for at least the first 10 minutes of the third quarter, it was all them, both sides of the ball, and put us down 41 from going 2017. We're down 41-20, and then we score twice and have enough time to come back and at least tie it up for an overtime game, and didn't do it. But South Alabama, a lot of credit to them. They play very good football. They didn't give up any of the big runs. They held our running game down to a minimum. We just didn't have the explosive plays that we needed. We did get some passing yardage on them, and of course Ty Howell, who had a monster day. I think 200 something yards, 9 catches, and 3 touchdowns. He had kind of a coming out party for him. But defensively, we couldn't stop their passing. I think they've got an outstanding quarterback. I think he's just smooth as can be. And we couldn't stop their offense, especially their passing game. They ran the ball. But too good as well. But it was a passing game that's hit big play after big play, and then we couldn't stop the running game when we had to. So again, we're playing close, but we're not playing good enough to beat the teams that are playing well in this conference. And so, but we're in football games. We're playing it down. We're close, but no cigar. We're good, but not great. We're just kind of getting there. And so we got to strap it up this week, going to West Point to play Army. And you know what you face when you go up there. If you don't slow them down on offense, you're not likely to keep up on our offense. So we know what we've got facing an option team like Army. I've played them before, and we know what they do week in, week out, year in and year out.
All right, thank you, Coach. I'll start with David Eckert. Please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Yes, doing fine.
A bit of a big picture question for you, if you'll humor me. Now that you're, a year or so into it, maybe a little bit more than that, I'm curious whether the institution of the one-time transfer rule and the transfer portal has impacted the way that you recruit high school athletes.
Right. I really think, and again, and I have been coaching so long. I mean, 79 was my first year as a coach, 1983, and I've seen so many different trends. And this one, I really didn't know what to expect. Obviously, it's kind of like free agency has jumped out at you, and you got to go find a player. And I think all colleges jumped on that opportunity to find somebody that was already college, prepped and practiced and a little bit further along in this program, especially teams that had to turn a program around. And I think we've all gone that way. I'm not sure at the group of 5 level what everybody should do, but we're going to do everything we can to get to the high school players and young players. Transfers are great, and we've had some really good portal transfers, but there's at least a 50% chance they're transferring because they weren't good enough to play there, or they didn't play hard, or they had some problems, and you're having to overcome those. And so you have to do a great job of really analyzing that just as well. And everybody faces that. So I feel like we're going to all move back toward high school, especially in the group of 5, as much as we can. coaches that take over a program and they feel like there's some pressure to win. And of course, I'm no different than anyone else. I'm a little bit older and I've coached a lot of places, so I don't feel quite the pressure that I've got to win and get somewhere else. And I want to build this program, but I think it's going to be the pressure to turn a program around, because schools don't wait very long for you to win. There's that look toward the portal, but I really think as we begin to develop, I know we and our staff said, let's make sure we get the very best high school players and use our coaching skills and develop them. And then when they leave, they'll love our colors. They'll love our school. They'll be a part of our institution. The older you are like me, the more you hope that you can get that from your team, so they get more out of going to college than just changing school. All that being said, if you don't win, you don't get to do any of those nice things. So we got to keep finding the right answer.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thanks.
All right.
All right, we'll go over to Hunter. Hunter, please go ahead.
Coach, I know that this is not exactly something that you probably want to think about, but based on your schedule, would you say that you guys are one of the best 2 and 5 teams in the country?
If you will entertain that thought, I'll let you think it. I don't know how many 2 and 5 teams there are. The less you win, the smaller that room gets. We have a very tough schedule, and you got a couple of them. No matter what you do, you're probably not going to be able to win. Then you get beat up, you get some injuries. Then you start out with your conference champion and your conference coach, a runner-up last year. So I know our players. We've lost a couple of close ball games. We know that every game we have been in the toughest games on our schedule, which doesn't mean we don't play some really tough teams, but we have played the toughest teams on our schedule. If you'll just go to Alabama and Texas, and so all I know is we work very hard on the morale of our team. Man, look what we've played. Look at some of the difficulties we've had. Could we be 4 wins if we do a little differently, or 3 or 4 wins or whatever? That, you can't really change the past or look too much in the present. But I think if we just, and I don't think our players, I think they're smart enough to know that keep on plugging, keep on focusing on the next game. There's still enough games out there. We're not going to look past Army, but there's still enough games out there for ULM to reach goals that we have set for ourselves. And right now we're saying, let's just get that. Let's work hard to get that next one win and go from there. But that's a long answer that didn't really answer your question. But I am very proud of the guys for not giving up, we're down 21 points out there, and our guys are out there finding a way to win. So as long as you've got that, you're growing. And like I've said, 5 other universities I've been to, and almost all of them are rebuilding. Sometimes it takes 1, sometimes it takes 4. We're going to do it as fast as we can, but I do believe that we've got the ingredients here to get back in the hunt for this conference, and hopefully this year a little bit more.
Thanks, Travis. Appreciate you guys covering Sunbelt football and our program here at Troy. Good win last week over Texas State. Hard fought win. Really, I think Jake Spavital is doing a great job elevating that program. And we knew going in it was going to be a physical matchup. They're really good on defense, and they're probably one of the more improved teams in the league. Kind of the common theme, I think of the Sunbelt, the new Sunbelt we have each and every week. You're in for a really big challenge, because there's a lot of good teams. There's nobody that you look at and you're like, there's just a ton of weakness. You have strength all across the league. No different than this week. We got a really good opportunity in state rival game and a quality opponent. They're doing a really nice job. They're talented. They're in a lot of places. They're as good as anybody we've played all year, and they're doing a good job with what they do schematically. Very well coached. Short week for us, 8th straight game on a short week. I'd be lying if I said we're not a little bit beat up in some spots. And we got to be smart with how we handle the week of preparation to get ready for the game. It takes what it takes to play the game and be ready to play the game the right way, but we also need to make sure we get to the game on Thursday night with energy and enough legs underneath us to go play the right way before we head into a bye after that. So having said all that, open up to questions.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll start off with Hunter Dawkins. Please go ahead, Hunter.
Coach, I know that y'all have had success in the last, 5 years with South Alabama. But this, of course, is a different looking South Alabama team this year. Where is this game gonna tell you about your program and where y'all are headed, trying to be the Western Conference side champions?
Yeah. So first, I think you're exactly right. They're a much improved team. This is not what you maybe have seen the last several years in regards to what their level of ability is. I think they're as talented as anybody in our conference, player wise. And so much different challenge than maybe what they were several years ago or even last year. They're a different team than last year, significantly different by what they've added through a lot of the transfers they brought in. And they're doing a good job coaching. I mean, they put their guys in good positions to be successful. Offensively, they present a lot of issues, what they do defensively as well. And they're sound in the kicking game. So not the same type of matchup probably the last several years that you've seen playing this bunch. And then the implications in regards to the Sun Belt West Conference race are obvious. Don't need to overstate those. I'm going to really emphasize all week with our team. There's going to be a lot of talk about the battle for the belt, and good. Rivalries are great for college football. It's exciting. I'm excited about it. And there's going to be a lot of talk about the conference implications, and that matters. Those are direct goals that we all have. And then bowl implications, all those things that come up. But if you get distracted by the prizes that are at the end of the race, you lose sight of the race, like how you run the race the right way. And so for us, it's about do everything you can to be as prepared as you can be to play your best game Thursday night. And that's the way you want to go about it.
Thank you. We'll jump over to Sam. Sam, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you obviously talked a lot about the implications of the game, but obviously being on national television on a Thursday night, one of only a couple games on midweek, how does that attention, excite you, and what does that do for your program and for the Sun Belt as a whole to have, a big conference game like this rivalry game on Thursday?
Yeah, I think playing on TV and on national TV is great for our conference. It's great for both schools and teams. It's exciting for our players. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a nice thing to be on TV. I respect the game of football enough that I don't care if we're playing on TV, ESPN 8 after dodgeball or on the radio or what. I want to prepare to play the game the right way. So while I do think it's great to have that privilege and opportunity, I don't care where they put us. Play the game the right way. It is great though. It's fun. It's exciting, and kudos to the league and the league office for strengthening our TV opportunities. I think through what they've done through conference realignment, they've helped give us more opportunities to play on bigger stages, which is exciting. But like I said, you got to play the game the right way, regardless of what platform you're on.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago now, but really, really proud of our guys for going out there and battling. We felt like we were getting closer to being the team that we want to be. And Wednesday was a good opportunity for us to go and play against a team that I have a lot of respect for. Certainly having played them in the bowl game as well. Really well coached, really tough, hard-nosed football team. So, in this conference, any win's a good win, especially when you get on the road and you go find a way to get one. The thing about it is that whether you win or you lose, you have to separate the results from what really matters, right? And when you turn on the tape, it doesn't matter if you win or if you lose. There's things that you're going to have to get fixed. There's things that you're going to have to do better, and you got to continue to improve. And so, it's a little bit easier sometimes after you win to do that. But, that's been our goal every week is go find the things on tape that we need to fix. There's still a lot more out there for this team. And we're going to keep working to get there. But I was really proud for our players, and I was proud of them, and I was happy for them because I know, they worked really hard and they played their tails off to go out there and get a win.
Thank you. We'll start off with Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you know, it's never easy to endure a weather delay and play in a tough environment on the road. What did you learn last week about your team's mental toughness and resiliency kind of battling through all of that?
Well, that's the second one we've had this year, to tell you the truth. You know, I mean, things like that, they're either become an advantage or a disadvantage based on how you respond to it. And the one thing about this team that I know is that they absolutely believe in each other, and they absolutely believe that they're going to find a way to win. And, you know, the first half, you know, it's 7-3 at halftime, you know, offensively moved the ball, but struggled to get some points on the board and had all, you know, wasn't going great, obviously, right? You're down by 4 at half. And, you know, we get in there at halftime and the kids just, they're sitting there, they're locked in. They want to know what adjustments we're going to make. What are we going to do? And, you know, I believe that our kids embrace adversity, and that's what we have to do. You know, particularly kind of like we talked about, you know, it hadn't gone exactly the way you want it to go this year in the middle part of the year. So you have to embrace the adversity, and you got to find ways to grow out of it. And for our kids, that's what we talked about at halftime. It's like, look, this is either our advantage or not, but it's up to us how we handle it. So it just says a lot about their character, I think, and their grit.
Go to Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, one of the first things that Charles Huff said after that game Wednesday was that that's a team that has championship DNA. When you're going through some of these rough spots like you have been, does having that experience at a championship level, you know, kind of help your guys fall back on something when everything's not going right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it does a little bit. You know, it's the standard that's been set around here is really high, and some people run away from it. We embrace it, and for us, you know, it's not always going to be perfect. You know, I mean, in fact, it's never perfect. Okay, last year, you know, we had a great year, and it wasn't perfect, even in the games that we won. But yeah, I think when you have, you know, a culture where you have people that believe in each other, and a culture where people, you know, they trust each other and they know that the work that they've done is going to lead to wins. You know, you get some of these gritty wins, and that's what I talk to our team about. Is like, look, this is who we are, right? Like, we are blue collar. We are this is what we are. We're not, you know, we're not real fancy. We're not real flashy. We're going to go out there and we're going to play a tough brand of football, and we're going to find a way to win in the fourth quarter. And that's our goal every week. It always has been, truthfully. It's not to score so many points. It's not, I mean, I couldn't care about that any less. It's about finding a way to win in the end. And we've won a lot of games that way. So yeah, I do. I think our past experiences help. But every team is a little different too. And this team has to figure out their identity. And I think we're on our way to that. But certainly, you know, we've got work to do to continue to grow and to being the team that we want to be. But it does help. You know, a lot of these guys have been a big part of a lot of wins over the past few years.
Go over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, first career start for Ben. Can you kind of assess his performance and what you saw from him?
Yeah, I mean, Ben went out there and really just played he played really smart football. You know, one of the things that kind of goes overlooked, the throwaways that he had, you know, some of the throwaways were great throwaways. He didn't put the ball in jeopardy. You know, that was one of the toughest quarterback performances I think I've ever seen from a kid. You know, I mean, he got hit. We knew he would. You know, those guys, they play real defense over there at Marshall, and we knew they were going to come after him. And he stood in there. He made throws even after he got hit. He continued to make plays. You know, and really, I think he emotionally sparked us as a team. You know, he took off and made some runs whenever it was critical situations that were huge for us. You know, he stepped in there, and the guy played really, really well. He played great football for us. He led that team, and I felt like, you know, he kind of willed that offense into gear a little bit. Not by straining or trying to overdo it, but by just, you know, being an emotional spark and really doing his job really, really well.
Yeah, so big win for us this past weekend. We played a much improved Arkansas State team, man. They've you know, they're a really good football team that's played 3 games down to the wire in the fourth quarter, you know, with our game this week. And then the Old Dominion and Memphis games, man, where they could be 5-2 right now. I got a lot of respect for how they're building their program. We were behind most of the game. We were able to win the game in spite of losing the turnover battle 2-0, which is a huge step in the right direction for us. That's something we would have had no shot to do over the past few years. I think that shows huge growth, with our culture. It shows huge growth with our talent level. I thought we played really good on defense the whole game. We were able to finally start executing correctly offensively. We moved the ball a lot in the first half and turned it over in the scoring zone areas, which took points off the board for us. Credit to Arkansas State for getting those turnovers. And we were able to sustain and get the drives at the end to win it. And so it was a good win, moving in the right direction for us. It was a gritty, tough, ugly win, which is kind of what we are right now. And so with that, I'll open it up. We got a tough opponent this week with, Texas State. Man, Spav's doing a great job. They're 3-4. They beat a great App State team. They played Troy really tough on the road this past week. You can see how much they're improving, and they're playing at a really high level right now.
And Coach, we'll start with Hunter. Hunter, please go ahead.
Coach, how's everything going down there up there in Hattiesburg? Because I'm on the coast. But anyway, that being said, what's the offensive scheme you guys are going to come down with this week? I know there was a little bit of change here, not only among the quarterback towards the end of the game, but as far as some other guys going through.
Yeah, we're going to continue to build this offense. We're a growing program. We're particularly growing in that area. We're really young on offense. And, we didn't change the offense when we changed quarterbacks. We actually ran the same plays we've been running. We just executed them better. Particularly at quarterback, the ball went to the right places in our RPOs and our handoffs and those type things. And we just executed and moved the ball down the field. So we're going to continue to run the Southern Miss offense. We're going to continue to improve it. We are improving. We're a team that won 3 games last year that didn't have a quarterback. And we've already won 3 this year with some young quarterbacks. So we're going to continue to coach and improve and continue to grow this program.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Heath.
Coach, can you talk difficulty or what you might have to change, or if you're going to change anything with playing two games in a matter of 10, 11 days, especially when you got to go to Texas State, come back up here for a Thursday night game? Does that change your approach in planning for these games, or you just keep going the way you always have?
Well, we'll change next week, Heath, but man, we're just not good enough to look that far ahead. We're just too young. We're in such a phase right now where every minute of every day matters, and we can't look that far ahead. So, for me as an older guy, yeah, I can tell you next week we'll change. But right now, man, we're concentrating on Texas State and Monday, improving off this game film. And we got competition Tuesday coming up. And we just can't, with these kids and where we're at in our program, look that far ahead.
All right, I'll go over to Garrett. Garrett, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the turnover battle briefly in your opening statement. Texas State's quarterback has thrown an interception in 5 of his 7 games. Do you think that's something your defense can capitalize on in the matchup ahead?
Well, I hope he throws it to us a bunch. I'll take it. But I think they've won. I think they've been +1 in the last 2 games in their turnovers. They were +1, I'm pretty sure, versus App State when a huge win. They were +1 on the road versus a really good Troy team, which put them in it to the very end. So they've been doing a great job in the turnover takeaway battle the last 2 weeks, which you've seen, a tremendous jump in their program. And we've got to do a better job of not turning it over, and hopefully we can get a few.
All right, and we have time for one more. We'll go to David. David, please go ahead.
Hey, Will, how you doing today?
What about it?
Will there be a competition between Zach Wilkie and Jake Lang at quarterback this week?
I don't know, Dave. I'm going to keep that between me right now. We're going to get to practice tomorrow. We're still thinking through what gives us the best opportunity to win this game first and foremost, and also continue to grow our program. That's probably the second biggest thing that's on our mind is, number 1, how do we win this game? And number 2, how do we continue to grow Southern Miss as a whole, and keep building this program back to where it needs to be. And like I said, man, we're young. We're recruiting at a high level. We continue to recruit at a high level. We're in the middle of our 3rd recruiting class right now. we're showing improvement. We've already tied our win total from last year. We want to continue to grow and improve this program.
Sure. Good afternoon. Very rarely you get a chance to say it's been a good weekend of practice, but we've had a good weekend of practice, and we just had a little walkthrough today, getting prepared for an Appalachian State team on Wednesday night that certainly is an outstanding football team, outstanding football coaching staff. Everything about them, points to the top. So we've got to play well, and we've got to play prepared and focused and educated to have a chance to go up there and get a win. But all signs right now, we've got a real positive attitude. Our demeanor is really, really good. Our body language is great, and our practice has been exactly the same way.
Hey, Coach, we'll start off with Stan. Stan, please go ahead.
Shawn, does having a veteran team make it a little bit less daunting to have this kind of a weird game on a Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I think anytime you have a veteran team, it makes everything easier. But yes, this is the first time I've ever played on Wednesday night since I was in middle school. So it's a little bit unusual for me as well. But, once game day gets here, everything kind of flows in place. The practicing on Saturday and Sunday is a little bit different. The Saturdays you have, I guess, the distractions of the college football season that's going on, the games, and we all, if you're involved in college football, you want to see those games. But we've managed it really well, and the veterans have done a good job in keeping our heads on straight and moving forward. Like I said, what I thought has been really good practices.
And the running game's been good all year, but the last 2 weeks has just been, last two games just been outstanding. How much of that is just getting the guys that overcome the kind of injuries you had, get them in the right place, and having good guys, shaping the game plan? I mean,
everybody knows consistency is really, really key in the run game, because you have to have those 5 offensive linemen working together at all times. We got into that Charlotte contest, and during the course of that week, we lost 3 tackles. I mean, it's just crazy to think you losing all those bodies, and you have to mismatch and put a guy here and rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, bring a right guard over to left tackle. And now we've kind of gotten those injuries behind us, and they're healthy, and we've kind of solidified a group, and they've done really well the last 2 weeks. They've got to be extremely on point this Wednesday night with an Appalachian defense that I think is outstanding. I know Dale Jones is the defensive coordinator very, very well. He's going to have those guys ready to stop that run, and he's going to have that secondary locked in and covered. So everything we do has to be on point to be successful.
Thank you.
I'll head over to Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, man.
So I first wanted to ask about the opponent, just what challenges App State is going to present you on either side of the ball.
I mean, athletically, look at them. I mean, from their running backs to their offensive line, to their secondary, to their linebackers, to the D line, their coaching staff. I think they're fantastic. I mean, it's really, really cool to watch. I mean, I love watching good football players, well-coached teams, and I think Appalachian has all those intangibles. It's no secret. I mean, they're at the top of this conference for a reason. From an overall standpoint, right at this point in time, they may not be, but they're a solid football team. It's Appalachian. It ultimately gains the respect of everyone once you say that word, Appalachian State. They're known for great football, great defense, running the football, and winning.
And just on your defense, 7 sacks, I think, at this point of the season. Is that number something, what do you think's behind the lower number, given that it's been a defense that's broken sack records back-to-back seasons?
Well, I would like to say that we need some better pass rush. There's a couple ways to create those. Better coverage in the secondary, and then ultimately bringing pressure or getting there with a 4-man rush. I don't think right now we're getting there with a 4-man rush. We're having to do some other things to kind of do that. And we've got to hold up a little bit longer in the secondary. But, I'm not too worried about that. Our turnovers are mounting, and I would take a turnover over a sack any day. We just got to keep progressing and finding that way. We're going to find our way to the quarterback.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Great. We'll head over to Alvaro Torres. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Elliott. I hope you're having a great day.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you for asking. What is the main thing you will be working on during this bye week? Well, the last week, and do you focus more on getting your players healthy, or is there more of X and O's than usual?
No, there's not much on the X's and O's. I mean, if you notice about our football team and me as a coach and our coaching staff, we're very consistent in what we do. We don't change. So we focus primarily on the game of football. We know this season's a long season. You know, when you play 12 games and you actually practice more in the preseason than you do the whole rest of the season, or at least we do. I mean, ultimately practice. Our two tough days are typically a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And, you know, very seldom are we going out on Monday. So I like fresh football teams. I don't like stale environments. I like guys that want to come to practice and practice well, because when it gets late in the year, that's when you need to be playing your best ball. And if you kind of seen us, we've started playing better the last couple of weeks. We haven't just played awful. We've had a tough stretch, but we're getting prepared to make a strong run to the finish.
You know, congratulations to Southern Miss. I thought they made the plays at the end of the game that they needed to. In terms of us, you know, we got to play better as units. You know, everything, when you look at the game, it points back obviously to the fourth quarter, but the big thing is it's a cumulative effect. You know, some of the plays that we left out there in the first quarter, the second quarter, you know, a lot of people forget those, but those create the whole momentum of the game. It's like a cyclical effect. It's a cumulative effect. And then, you know, I knew we were in for a game when we didn't score in the third quarter. We scored 7 points, 9 if you talk about the special team safety. But, you know, we outgained them 120 something, 30 yards. We forced 3 3-and-outs on defense. We only scored 7 points on offense. And then we get to the fourth quarter. And really the fourth quarter, winning the fourth quarter is a byproduct of how many plays you play in that quarter. And they did a good job. I thought they made some plays at the end of the game. And I think it's a great illustration to our team is, you know, we say a football game can come down to 4 to 5 plays, but really an entire season can come down to 4 to 5 plays. And that's the third time where really the play has come down to a fourth down play, or however you want to look at it, a 2-minute drive. And we weren't able to execute. But I think the big thing for us is eliminating the things that keep you from winning. And that may be a missed split. That may be hand placement. That may be a misalignment by a defensive lineman. All those things that maybe nobody sees that really go into playing winning football and costing you games at the end. So again, I think the only way you can improve is you learn from your mistakes and you continue to move forward. I thought our kids competed. Now we just need to learn how to finish games. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Hey, Coach, we'll start off with David Eckert. David, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, David.
I've got a big picture question for you. I'm curious, you know, now that the transfer portal and all of that is well established, from a recruiting perspective with high school athletes, is there a temptation, I guess, to cast maybe a wider, more ambitious net with some of these high school athletes, knowing that even if you don't land them now, they could potentially come available, you know, 2 years from now, whatever?
Well, David, that's a great question. And I think it's a question too, when you're building a program. You know, I've always have not believed in quick fixes. I think you still have to develop your players. You have to develop a mindset. And a lot of times with the transfer portal, you know, they've already been developed one way, shape, or form or another. And you like to be able, at least from our philosophical standpoint, is be able to develop the high school player and your culture, your principles, your values, how you're going to play the game, your style of play. But also, you know, the portal is also an opportunity to improve your roster, improve your depth, improve your competitive balance. But I do think, you know, every program's different kind of in that approach. But I do think that you're still going to win consistently over time with the high school player. I don't want to live dangerously if every year, what's starting to happen with the transfer portal is it's hard to build a program. You're building a team year in and year out. And I think at Arkansas State, we're still a developmental program. We still need to develop players, but I do think the transfer portal is also beneficial. But I think you recruit a little bit more because 4 years, 5 years is a long period of time. And it's kind of like you have to adapt and adjust to kind of the dynamics and the environment of college football. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll jump over to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you had double-digit guys catch a pass, in your last game, and obviously you have your standout receivers. But how important is it that you have so many weapons that you can go to?
Well, it's all about balance in creating matchups. I think that's the thing is football is a game of matchups, and we're very fortunate at the tight end position, the running back position, to really have some very skillful players that can catch the football. And I think it adds to your schematics, your scheme. I think the big thing for us with, the availability of all the pass catchers is it's still a line of scrimmage game. It starts up front. And I thought like in the previous game, they were able to win the line of scrimmage game. And, that's unfortunate because I think we do have a very skilled quarterback and some skilled guys to get the ball to. I think you also have to be very balanced, but we're very fortunate to have some very competitive individuals in those position rooms. And we need to continue to get them the football in every way, shape, form, or another.
And then if you could, please, just your assessment of Louisiana, what they do well and what you'll need to do well.
Yeah, it's still very early, but we're going to need as much time and preparation as possible. They're still Louisiana. They're still, kind of the measuring stick of the Sun Belt, and have a lot of respect for their football program and what they've been able to build there and what is going on there now. Defensively, very physical, very fast, give you some different looks. Offensively, same thing. Can run the football big and imposing up front. I think the other dynamics are their special teams. They take away from a time standpoint with all the different looks that they give you. You look at the number of receivers and DBs and linebackers that play on their special teams. So this is a program when you talk about you win with the bottom third of your roster, especially when you get into late October and November. And I think this is why they're playing very, very well right now. Obviously, they know how to win, but also I think they have depth across the board, and you're seeing that.
Yeah. Just obviously it was a great opportunity for us and to go and play a quality opponent on the road. I think we played one of our most complete games since I've been here, and so excited to be able to come out with a win.
All right, thank you. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have a question, please just go into reactions and raise your hand. We'll start with Alvaro Torres with Inzoners. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Rahne. I hope you're having a great day. Well, you overpowered Coastal Carolina in the running game, both offensively and defensively. Was this due to the players' motivation and execution, or because of an schematic advantage?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I thought that our offensive and defensive coaches both did a great job of designing schemes that allowed our players to play to their maximum potential. I thought we had angles and numbers in the running game on offense, and I thought we did a nice job of designing layers and things on defense. But ultimately, it's up to the players to execute. And I thought the players played with tremendous energy and great technique, and we played. Probably one of the most physical games that we've played, and it came and helped us come up with a win.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you. We'll go over to Shane. Shane, please go ahead.
Yeah, Coach. I know you've been at ODU a relatively short time, but I'm guessing, at Penn State, maybe you recruited in the state of Virginia a little bit. I know Penn State was heavy in DMV and stuff. Do you get a sense of how much the landscape has changed in this state? Just now that there's 5 FBS programs compared to not that long ago, there were only 2. And even you go back a little longer ago, Virginia Tech was independent and not in the ACC and things. Do you have a sense of how much just the overall landscape has changed in the state?
Yeah, I think it continues to change each and every day. My previous institution, we camped out pretty well in Virginia. We ended up having on our 2017 team, two of our captains were from the state of Virginia. So, I mean, I think that it's a place that's always had great high school players. The coaches in this state do a tremendous job of coaching up the guys. And, I think that, if you just look at I do think there's enough players to go around. Now we need to make sure that we don't have places like Penn State and some of these other schools coming in here and taking some of our best players. But this is a great area. Not only from up there in the northern part of the state and DMV area, but all the way through down into Richmond and down here in the 757, and then even we even get into some North Carolina areas and things like that. And then there's great players all the way out in the western part of the state as well. And it takes those take a little bit more effort to go find those guys just because they're a little bit, some of those schools are farther apart. But, it's a great place to recruit, and we're going to continue to build our team, with local players.
All right. Thank you.
Go over to Sam.
Hey, Coach, obviously coming off of a big win this past weekend, but you're facing a team in Georgia Southern that also, obviously had a pretty signature win this past week as well. What do you guys have to do on the defensive side of the ball to slow down their offense, put up some crazy numbers against JMU this past weekend?
Well, they put up crazy numbers against a lot of people. They're playing very, very well. Their quarterback's doing a fantastic job of getting the ball out quick, and they're doing a nice job of protecting him. The wide receivers are making contested catches when they need to, but they're also, running after the catch and doing a great job with that. So, obviously, Coach Helton and his staff have done a tremendous job of designing a great scheme, and the players are executing it. So it's going to be about us. It's a little bit different, but again, we're going to have to do our job. That's what we had to do this week against an option offense. We got to do our job, and then we've got to tackle. We tackled at an extremely high rate last week, and I thought that was a key to the game, and we're going to have to do that again this week.
And then, Coach, how do you stay away from the noise of, obviously sitting on top of the Sun Belt East Division after this past weekend? How do you keep the guys focused on, taking it 1 week and one game at a time?
Well, I mean, 1-0 is our mantra, and we've got to know that. I think that, we were able to come in and have a really, really positive practice yesterday. We talked about how there's some things we still needed to work on. I thought we played fast in practice yesterday. We were willing to address some of the issues that we still had in the game. And I've already seen a ton of guys in here watching tape today on our off day. So I'm excited about how the guys are approaching it. It's just a message that we have stayed consistent with since I've been here, and will always stay consistent with. So it's not about something that we're just trying to make sure they're hearing about for the first time. This 1-0 mentality is not new for them. So we've got to continue to dive in on that.
Yeah, really excited about this week's opportunity. A really challenging opponent. A lot of respect for Coach Cignetti and his staff and what those guys have been able to do, not only this year, but for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, when you look back over their time there, even, as a 1AA FCS program, they've been very dominant, very phenomenal, program. And obviously this year they're doing some great things. A lot of respect for how they play, not the group that does a lot of, flash. They're disciplined. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They play extremely hard. So really excited, really good opportunity for our guys, really good test for our identity as we head into this week.
All right, thank you. We'll start with Alvaro Torres. Please go ahead.
Hi, Coach Huff. I hope you're having a great day. Well, how is Henry Colombi doing? And are you going to do some changes on the playbook if Cam Fancher plays?
Henry's doing fine. We ended up keeping him out of the game Saturday just because Cam was moving the offense a little bit better. That's kind of been our plan from day one. You play the guy. We have a package, kind of for both of them. Both of them have played in every game, and kind of, where you're at in the game, who's kind of got the hot hand. Henry started out doing some really good things in the first half of the game. And after halftime, made some mistakes, threw a pick, there, second half. It was the plan to get Cam in the second half. We just didn't know when. And then once we got Cam in, he was able to move the ball a little bit, move the offense down the field. So we kind of stuck with him. So looking forward to going in this week of practice and putting a plan together for both of them. And seeing who's able to manage, the game the best. I think right now we have two two quarterbacks that do some things really, really well, some things that they're not great at, and we got to find offensively as a staff to put them in the best positions based on the opponent. I think each week is a little bit different.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
All right, we'll go to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Little bit of unique schedule, Coach. You have 11 days between games, and then you have 10 days between games. How have you kind of managed that time, and how do you think it may be beneficial for you going into a really tough finish to the season?
Yeah, we had a plan kind of back, beginning of the season, that if we got to the halfway point in the season, we'd be able to reassess and kind of look at where we are from a physical standpoint. Obviously everyone's got bumps and bruises. Luckily we've been healthy, across the board, and able to kind of keep our rotations the same. And then obviously just maximizing the time. Sometimes we forget that these guys are student athletes. So we use a couple days there to allow them to get kind of not caught up, but get really in the thick of it from an academic standpoint, and make sure that they're on point moving into midterms and those type of things. From an academic perspective, it gave us an opportunity to do some recruiting. We didn't get a chance to get out as much as we'd like to with the way the weeks fell with a midweek game and kind of preparing for the next game. So it gave us some time to do that. And then we get back into our normal week schedule this week coming up.
We'll go over to Luke. Luke, please go ahead.
Coach, I know you've talked a lot about, not putting more emphasis on any particular opponent for the next game. But when you look at what James Madison has been able to do for years and years and years in FCS, and to see them do that at the FBS level, does that surprise you at all? Or is that, just kind of something you expect when you look at the makeup of that football team?
I think it's something you expect. I'm probably a little different. I played FCS football. So I know that the difference between FCS and Group of Five is really a depth issue. It's not really a talent issue. It's just no different between Group of Five and Power Five. I think it's just a matter of how many, good players you have at one position. And I think what Coach Cignetti has been able to do is he's been able to build his program, to the tops of the FCS level, and then making the move in the transition into the Group of Five. I don't think they are a FCS team. I think they're a Group of Five team with really good football players that play really well. Their coaches do a really good job of putting them in situations to maximize their strengths. I bet you if you talk to him, they've got some weaknesses just like we do, just like Georgia does, just like every other team in the country does. But I don't look at them as a FCS team. I look at them as a very good opponent. You look at some of their players. We recruited some of their players, even before they made the transition, because they were good football players. So I think that's how you got to look at it. I don't think, anybody in our building or our program is anticipating playing a FCS team or a Group of Five team. I think when you put the film on, they're a good football team that we've got to go out and do all the things necessary to beat a good football team.
Got time for one more from Sam.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, this week is JMU's homecoming game. They've got a sellout crowd already for this weekend. Is there anything you can take from the Notre Dame game, playing in a hostile environment, to then kind of take that into this game and use that?
I think, what we can take from it is that every Sun Belt team that we've played on the road, and it's two, has had a phenomenal atmosphere. And I think that's just the norm or the expectation for this conference, and what we've got to do is we've got to be able to go into different environments and be able to play good football. I don't think the crowd size, or I don't think the label on the weekend, homecoming or not, has a lot to do with it as far as how you play. Obviously, it creates excitement for the fans and it makes for a better environment overall. But at the end of the day, we got to line up 11 guys against 11 guys, and we've got to execute consistently, regardless of if fans yell or not. I think it's a good example for our conference of what this conference expectation is from an atmosphere standpoint, regardless of who or where you play. And I think that's probably a bigger take from it than how it would affect our players or how it should affect our players. So going into it for us, it's another opportunity to play a really good program and a really good atmosphere. And that's kind of the way we got to look at it. I don't think any of the fans will be able to make any tackles or catches, so the amount of them yelling will just be noise. And what we've got to do is focus in on the details to be able to execute.
Yeah, we are excited coming off of homecoming to get a win against Louisiana Monroe. I thought, our guys really showed some tremendous grit towards the end of the game. We did not play our best football in the first half, but came out of halftime. I think we outgained them some 200 yards to 18 yards, something like that, and then got out to a 21-point lead. However, when we got in the fourth quarter at a 21-point lead, I thought, our team lost a little bit of their focus. We gave up some explosive plays on defense. Offensively, we had 2 drives where we stalled out and didn't come up with any first downs, which, when you look at a game where we threw for a school record and had, 615 yards of offense, that should not have happened in that situation if we're locked in. And credit Louisiana Monroe. They worked really hard to get themselves back into the football game. What was encouraging was how we were able to finish once we put ourselves in that situation, and to go on a 5+ minute drive where we had to run the football to ice the clock. And we were able to do that effectively all the way down the field, and then get to victory offense and finish and seal the game off was a step forward for our program. You look this week on a short week, there are a lot of things to be excited about with South Alabama football and this matchup against a very good Troy team. But I told our team last night, those are all distractions if we allow them to be from the process of how we do things. We're a process-driven program. We are at the position that we're in because we are relentless in the details of accomplishing that process. And the outcome on game day is the result that we see from that process. And so ultimately, this comes down to us. Exciting for our fans, exciting for the league, exciting for the matchup, but we got to be about us.
Hey, Coach, we'll start off with Hunter Dawkins. Please go ahead, Hunter.
Coach, it's a good thing y'all been playing well as late, as good as you have. One of the things that I asked the Troy coach too, in the past 5 years, this has been kind of in favor to them more often than not. But I said that y'all are a different team, and they have somewhat came forward being a lot more solid in their latest few games. But how do you think y'all match up against each other? Because like I said, y'all are a lot more explosive than the last couple of years, and y'all are a better team.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some level, right, that we always want to look back on the past, and you want to see, one game to another game and a record, over, the history of the rivalry. I've been in this game a number of times now. Obviously, the last time I think, that we did win was when I was the defensive coordinator here. We went over there and Troy was coming, they were a tremendous football team and had just come off of a win against LSU the week before, rushed for, 275 yards, something like that. And, I think we held them for like 30 yards rushing and beat them 19-8. You're going to have some of those scenarios, right? That's the great thing about a rivalry is anybody can beat anybody. And so that's why, to me, we're going to get their best effort. They're going to get our best effort. We just have to stay focused on our process as we look at it. I think the matchup is the matchup, and you're going to get the best from each team. And frankly, that's what's fun about rivalries. That's what's fun about the Sun Belt Conference right now. Everyone is competitive, and we're seeing that in real time play out in front of us. And the teams that are going to be standing at the finish line at the end are the ones that can be relentless in the details of accomplishing their vision and their process. And so for us, that's all we're talking about in this building.